Hello and welcome back to Chapter 3 of the Karl Franz saga. A bit of a recap to get started here. Karl Franz just won a great victory against the rebels after throwing his men against Helmgart multiple times. He is now ready to go ahead and smash those rebels, but he's facing a bit of an identity crisis. After defeats and defeats, he did the unthinkable and slaughtered Empire soldiers that could have been brought back. Around the Empire, Middenland has largely fallen. Up in the north, there have finally been raids along the coastline that the Emperor needs to deal with. Over in Hawkland, it has largely fallen to these strange plagues that have taken holds, so much of the Empire has fallen. In the east, Griffinwood has had its spirits come forth, and with the help of Wood Elves has taken control of the eastern part of the Empire, and just south of them, the von Karsteins have united the vampires and are ready to move in. They have broken their non-aggression pact with the Emperor and are looking to expand their borders out of Sylvania. There is much work ahead for the Emperor, but it's time to get started. He has decided that it's time to wipe out the rebels once and for all.
Into battle.
There are still quite a few enemies left. His men are still a little far away, so he's going to just make sure he does wait until he gets the reinforcements he needs.
Serve. Guided by Sigma. Attack! By Sigma. I am Franz. They will obey. Pick up the pace. Protector of... Archlector. To war. The Empire.
And he simply cannot get his soldiers in time in the treacherous mountain passes. So he is going to wait in order to launch his assaults until he can be sure that he will be victorious. He's had issues before and he is not leaving this to chance.
I am Prince and Emperor.
In the meantime, he does continue to train and make sure that he is ready.
Is it time?
His followers also need to get ready for the coming battle, so whatever they can do to make sure that they can help take the walls of Helmgart, they are preparing to do so. In his coffers, he does have a little bit of money left, so he looks at Ubersreich, which has completed its infrastructure upgrades. He is ready to improve the industry of this region so that his income can start to be back in the black. He also wants to make sure that it is a place where people want to come, get travelers to come and spend their coins. He's going to bring up a tap room as well to make sure it is nice and inviting. The elves in Lower Lorne Forest have decided to offer the Emperor a non-aggression pact. It is something that the Emperor will happily accept, as the force is currently overrun outside by greenskins. The Empire has fractured. Middenland and Nordland has gone all out in war. Middenland has already lost much of their territory, and the Emperor was already determining that he may simply take the territory for himself. To that end, he goes ahead and sides with Nordland against Middenland. The rebels have pulled back from their position, going so far as to enter Bretonnian territory that is currently occupied by dwarves of Carrick Ziflin. The Emperor marches ahead with the route to Helmgart open. He lays siege,
fights for our nation,
and waits for his remaining troops under Oleg to come.
With you, servant of the faith.
The combined strength now marches on the fortress of Helmgart. They will be able to take it this day. Or so the Emperor hopes. Instead of focusing on the outer walls, the Emperor marches directly at the gates. He will smash it down himself.
We will hold! Let the gods keep clear! Draw!
The walls have been taken, and the fight has gone down now to the inner courtyard.
Sigma, preserve
Victory is achieved, and Karl Franz takes his anger out on the enemy lord, chasing him down, making sure he is driven into the dust. Helmgart has finally fallen, and the rebellion of Reikland has been crushed. The Emperor wants to send a message out to anyone else who would oppose him and executes the remaining captives. They have caused enough trouble, and he cannot allow them to continue.
I command here. I am Prince and Emperor.
His men and
Summon the
followers
Elector
gained
Counts.
more ability from the triumph. It is time to unlock greater power from the wizard. He is going to cause great damage in time to come as he moves his focus now towards the greenskins and reclaiming territory that rightfully belongs to the Empire.
Protector of the weak.
Oleg the Archlector is time to improve his own abilities now. His soldiers fight well up front, but he must be able to stand his own grounds.
Awaiting orders. Bring me to my men.
His warrior priest, Old the Brass Oar, is going to learn how to better heal his soldiers after fighting. He will have long campaigns ahead, and in those campaigns he must be able to maintain his force's strength.
The nation calls.
he has some money now to again upgrade his cities. Grunberg needs to be able to bring more wealth, and so it establishes a weaving house there as well. Eilhart can improve its infrastructure so that it too can bring food and cash into the empire, but also it is near the border of the west. And in the west, Bretonnia has already shown signs of struggle against the onslaughts. Perhaps defenses will be required here in order to hold ground against the enemies. It is time now to think about the economy of the empire. With Reikland at peace, it is time to make sure that that peace is translated into a strong backbone to further push the war machine. Thyrus of the rebels makes one final attempt. He fights valiantly and kills many men, including Karl Franz's close personal followers. His wizard and his priest both fell in the last stand. Resentment is growing in Karl Franz's heart. The Emperor begins to march towards Karaberg. He has funerals for his friends and followers along the way. The Empire would rise again, stronger than ever. There can be no weakness allowed within the borders. Oleg is left behind at Helmgart to ensure that it is protected while it grows.
Sigmarite Archlector! What orders? I am Franz. They will obey. Champion of the faith.
Grunsburg Weaving House was completed and continues to grow further, with soldiers having been fallen at the final battle of Helmgart against the rebels. There is now finances to hire new soldiers. It is not the way that Karl Franz would have liked to gather new supporters, but there is opportunity to be found. Oleg has, for reasons unknown, Thorgrim Grudgebearer has reached out to the Emperor and has ended his non-aggression pact. Another thorn in the Emperor's side. Have the von Karsteins gotten to him? Or is there other nefarious forces at work in the world against the Emperor? Oleg has grown concerned with the Emperor's bloodlust and paranoia. He writes him every day on his march. He reminds him of his duty to the Empire. That there is nothing to protect if you destroy everything along the way. Luen Leoncoeur of Bretonnia has also ended their non-aggression pact. It truly seems that everyone across the world seeks to destroy the Empire. The Emperor does stand alone. He will not forget all of this treachery. It seems that the elector counts are again up to no good. Stirland has imprisoned a member of the Middenland house. Middenland is already an enemy of the Emperor. Stirland must be supported in such matters. Enough forces have been assembled to think about moving against Karaberg. The Emperor moves his forces to the center of the river and recruits a few more soldiers. More cavalry would be needed. Stirland seeks a non-aggression pact. Perhaps there is still those loyal left in the Empire. It is gladly accepted. Weissenland thinks to secede from the Empire. The Emperor cannot allow this. He does not have the strength just now to stop them by force, so he does rely on his political leanings to stop them. But this will not be forgotten. Wissenland too must be stopped and put back in their place when the time comes. Boris has moved out of Karaberg to move against the Orcs. This allows the Emperor to go after Karaberg. Should he wait, though, for Boris to attack the Greenskins and reclaim Empire territory? Oleg urges him to wait. For the good of the Empire, if he is able to reclaim some Empire territory, that is the greater good. But the Emperor knows better. He has been disappointed before in the men of the Empire, and Boris has already proven himself weak. Why rely on weakness? He can do it himself.
Men, war calls!
There is a rush to reach the top of the hill. It is there that the greatest defenses can be found in this battlefield. But the Emperor also has a secret force of cavalry waiting in the woods. It will be able to wrap around and hit the rear flank of the Middenland forces. The fight will be messy in this battle. Neither force were able to get an upper hand in the initial stages of setup. The Emperor waits for the right moment to spring his ambush, where the infantry are too far to protect the soft targets behind. The enemy lord flees before the Warhammer of Karl Franz, and the lord dies. It does not take long for the rest of his army to follow suit and either flee or die before the onslaught. Karaberg fell, and the Emperor needs more supplies to continue the reclamation of Middenland. They had already shown their weakness. They do not deserve to keep their riches. It is best for the Emperor to claim them as his own. With Karaberg taken, the Emperor knows that Boris Todbringer will have to decide whether to continue to push into his old territory or come back against Karaberg. He hopes that he will show enough loyalty left to try to reclaim his own land. Perhaps if he does so, the Emperor will show mercy and lenience. There is now enough resources to improve the infrastructure of Altdorf once again. Greater soldiers will be needed in order to continue to push back the tide of evil and darkness.
Summon the Elector Counts.
Boris proves himself worthy by attacking the Greenskins. Perhaps there is a little bit of honor left by Middenland. But Karl Franz doesn't know if it's enough. Honor does not replace strength. Lorelorn Forest has been conquered. The elves who once lived there is gone. A greenskin army lies just near the settlement Boris retook. He decides to wait and see what happens between the two armies before making his next move. In the meantime, the Emperor looks back to his own lands and takes stock of what he has currently achieved and where he can turn next. He has funds to upgrade Eilhart once again. And yet, he knows that it requires defenses, and defenses are costly. With the treachery of Léon Léoncoeur, he cannot trust his western borders. And there is always Marienburg sitting and waiting, always thinking themselves the superior city. They have riches from faraway lands. He cannot let them use those riches to overthrow the Emperor. They must be watched carefully. The economy has continued to grow, but it needs to continue to grow still. Reconstruction efforts for Karabberg begins. He doesn't have enough to do it all at once. But Empire territory will be healed, and it will be strong. Boris wishes peace and offers tribute, but he has not yet dispatched the Greenskin army that is in his territory. The Emperor decides to wait until he proves his strength before deciding if he is worthy to continue being an Elector Count of the Empire. The Emperor receives word that Ostermark has fallen. Can no one withstand the tide of darkness? Boris's army was defeated by the Greenskins. He did not have the strength needed to withstand the enemy. The Emperor would take his territory for his own.
I am Prince and Emperor.
The rebuilding of Karabberg resumes. Beastmen have marched forward as well in Middenland. The failure of Boris is complete.
So?
The Emperor marches on Weisland to take the territory for his own. It would be a perfect base of operation to launch attacks to reclaim territory from the Greenskins and the Beastmen. Middenland would have to be reclaimed, and so too the rest of Empire territory.
To war!
The Emperor's army dwarfs that of his enemies. This will not be a difficult fight. The Emperor seeks to send a message to the other Elector Counts. If you cannot protect your territory, you do not deserve to hold it. He will come and retake it for himself.
Brace yourselves! I will not stand
Victory is achieved. The enemy army is crushed, and Middenland is no more. The settlement of Weissman is now under the Emperor's direct control. He will be sure it will not be lost again, unlike the lords of Middenland who allowed their lands to be overrun. Eilhart still doesn't have the resources to be able to build its defenses. And so, the Emperor holds fast until more can be collected. The Beastmen march forward further into their lands, and then disappear into the woods. They would have to be hunted down and eliminated. Weissman is corrupted. The land itself splits apart. The Beastmen who have moved into the land is causing that corruption and must be hunted down mercilessly. Karl Franz knows they are out there, laying in wait for him to march right into their ambush. He must think carefully about whether he wishes to engage or to wait for the corruption to spread.